Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 14 inside the Big Brother All-Stars house. This is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. We're going to cover everything that happened overnight. I'll give you a quick summary so that you don't have to stay up all night long like old Boss Hogg's been doing. So let's get right to it. Nothing crazy. Well, I don't know. There's always something crazy going on in the Big Brother house, but we've got a few key conversations to talk about as the evening wore on. This is the last night out in the backyard, so a lot of people were out there for most of the day, the evening. They're going to lose at 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, so they're enjoying the backyard. So let's get to some of these conversations. Again, a few of them pretty important. Let's talk about the first one. Nicole Franzel and Davon sitting out in the patio area in the backyard. Davon telling Nicole Franzel that Nicole Anthony, it's so hard, two different Nicoles in there, that Nicole Anthony wants to call a house meeting. She wanted to do it either yesterday being Tuesday or on Wednesday. She's going to say, or is planning to say, that first of all, how badly Janelle wants Nicole Franzel out, that it's just her ultimate mission. And she wants to mention that she was in the room when Kaiser came up with the idea to break up Ian and Nicole Franzel by telling Ian about other alliances that Nicole Franzel had, how he's trying to break up everyone over on that side. And so she just wants to get it all out in the open. Now, Nicole Franzel and Davon then continue to say that, yeah, if she does it, it's going to kill her game. But, hey, go for it. If you want to do it, they feel like it's going to ensure that she gets voted out on Thursday. And here's the thing. If Nicole does that, it's going to make it tough for anyone to ever trust her again if she's spilling private information during this house meeting. Now, Davon also did previously tell Nicole Anthony earlier in the day that if you do this house meeting, you better be prepared because Janelle is tough and she will make you cry, and you just have to be ready to face the onslaught of Janelle if you throw her under the bus like that. Davon, very good advice that I hope Nicole Anthony takes up on. Other issues that are going on with that particular conversation, Davon tells Nicole Franzel that a guys' alliance does exist, and that if Nicole Anthony leaves, that the girls are now 2 down. And, you know, I think that particular pitch could help Nicole Anthony. Nicole Franzel, she has tended in the past to work with the guys a little more tightly than the women, it seems like. So she may not care about it quite as much as some other people do. But here's the other thing. I really think that the fear or the dislike of Janelle from the other side outweighs to some extent the fear of the guys ruling the game, at least for right now. So that's one of the pitches I kept hearing all night long. We'll see if it has much of an effect or not. So we had that. Before we go any further, they did have Taco Tuesday at the house, meat and vegan tacos, because we have some vegans and some meat eaters in there, but I think Janelle cooked a bunch of stuff up. So props to Big Brother 22 for continuing Taco Tuesday. All right, back to the conversations. Nicole Anthony and Kevin talking again about this house meeting. Tyler had talked to Nicole earlier and said, hey, you ought to call this house meeting as a surprise. Don't have it all planned out and have people prepared. Just surprise them, bring them all in. He said, be careful because some people might think that Janelle told you to say all of this, that y'all are working together, that this is just a front, this is just an act to try to make it look like y'all are distanced or something. So be prepared. Do it as a surprise so people can't have a whole lot of stuff prepared to challenge you and things like that. Now, Nicole says that she keeps saying throughout the day, today, yesterday, this evening, she keeps saying that once people start comparing notes, they're going to see that she's saying the same thing to everyone, and it's going to help develop trust with her. And so she is telling everyone the same story. I think Nicole's big issue is that right now she thinks that everyone is being very non-committal in their vote, and that if she just gets a few people to publicly support her, that everyone else will fall in line. It's just a matter of getting those first couple of dominoes to fall, and then she's good. I think the reality is that everyone is acting non-committal because they've already decided to say David, or a lot of them have already decided to save David, and they just don't want to tell Nicole Anthony that. So it's hard. I think she's misreading some of the hesitancy from some people. Nicole Anthony says she's going to start asking people who say they are going to vote for her to go ahead and shake her hand on it. as a commitment that they're going to do it. I love my ride or die Nicole Anthony, but if someone came to me and asked for a handshake, promise that I'm going to vote for him, I'd be a little hesitant. You never know what's going to happen in the house. You have to trust a person's word more so even than a handshake. But I get it. She's doing what she can, fight the battle, and I hope it works. No, it's going to be tough either way. Kevin, all right. Kevin had a good read, so good job, Kevin. That I don't know that's always been the case. Kevin had a very good read and very good advice for Nicole Anthony. He said the people who want her blow up the game with his house meeting are the ones that are against her, and the ones that are telling her not to are the ones that want her to stay. He says that should give you a good indication of where Tyler is in terms of how he cares about you and all that. So just be careful, Nicole, and I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that, Kevin. All right, some other conversations. Nicole Anthony told Kevin that if the vote is unanimous to keep her, it'll show Janelle that she wasn't able to split the house, and Janelle won't be able to get what she wants. Unfortunately, I think the House may try to show Janelle that she can't get what she wants by giving a near unanimous vote the other direction and sending Nicole Anthony out the door. It's early. We still have some time, so that may change. And as the evening wore on, it seemed like there's some conversations we'll talk about real quickly that may change that up a little bit, but we'll see. Another conversation, Bailey and Janelle. Bailey's telling Janelle that if the votes are locked to save Nicole Anthony, that she will then vote to keep her also. But otherwise, she does not want to be on the losing end, the losing side of a vote. Janelle is getting frustrated with this attitude that people won't commit to an alliance. She says she's going to leave if people don't start putting their cards on the table and making some decisions. She's tired of it. So she's getting a little frustrated that everyone's just a little wishy-washy. No one wants to commit to the vote right now. Nicole Anthony and Enzo. It's kind of Nicole Anthony night. Nicole Anthony, Enzo talking, saying that Enzo saying the two things that are really working against you, Nicole, is one, your connection to Janelle, and two, the fact that you still have that safety pass, which could create a threat. She's promising that she won't be on Janelle and Kaiser's side. If they'll keep her, she'll go after them, so they shouldn't worry about that. But Enzo also says, hey, use your safety pass as a bargaining chip. Promise that you won't play in the competition if people keep you, and give that pass up. It's not a bad idea to leverage it somehow. So a good idea from Enzo. Another conversation, Enzo and Cody talking in the photo room. Enzo mentions to Cody that he would like to see Nicole Anthony stay. He thinks that she's a little more stable maybe than David, a little more reliable. Cody steals the other way. Cody says, nah, David's good. Let's keep David. I think Nicole Anthony probably is who I want to go. But they're slightly different conversation, but the same guys. They're concerned that Nicole Franzel discovered from Danny about the Connect Alliance, which is Enzo, Cody, Bailey, and Davon. Apparently, Danny told Nicole Franzel about this alliance. They also mentioned that Bailey said she was concerned because Cody is spending all of his time with Danny and Nicole Franzel. So basically, Cody and Enzo are getting a little concerned with some of the women in their different alliances and what they're talking about and what they're worried about. And again, this guy's alliance is maybe taking a little bit of people's attention at this point in time. He mentions that the girls are becoming a problem. They're figuring out how they can get rid of Danny because they think she needs to go. She knows too much about everything going on with their alliances, and she's a threat. So they think she needs to go sooner rather than later. Like I say, it sure seems like the guys' alliance is maybe starting to kick in and getting some people's attention and concerns. All right, another conversation, David and Kaiser. This was not a pleasant conversation. Kaiser basically telling David, said, hey, I want to work with you, but you're aligned in this alliance with guys who want me out the door, and I can't. Well, how am I supposed to handle that? David's kind of mad. He's not really giving a lot of information back to Kaiser, and he spends some time talking about how badly he was treated by Memphis, how he's singled out by Memphis. Kaiser saying, hey, I had nothing to do with that. I get it, but I had nothing to do with it. Don't hold that against me, and don't take it out on Janelle either, because she's my duo. And if you go after Janelle, that's like a personal attack on me. So just don't do it, David. But the whole conversation is very just uncomfortable. Later, Davon and David are talking. David saying he can't work with Kaiser because of Janelle, because of that connection. Davon is questioning, saying, David, why did you tell Janelle that she was a target right behind Memphis? He didn't have much of an answer. He said, it was just kind of an awkward conversation, and it came up. Davon tries to explain to Kaiser tries to explain to David why Kaiser feels threatened by this guy's alliance, and that because David's part of it, Kaiser's concerned about that. Davon is also extremely worried, it seems like, that Keisha's gone. Nicole Anthony may be next. Sounds like Janelle is the next target. With 3 women gone, she's saying, hey, Bailey and myself, are you going to protect us? You're in this guy's alliance. Are you going to protect us? David hem-haws around a little bit and finally says, yeah, sure. I don't know if he has the power to or not, but again, the guy's alliance threatening some of the women, and it could have an effect on David versus Nicole at the end of this week, and who stays if it continues to chip away at some confidence from some of these people. All right, another conversation. Janelle, Kaiser, and Nicole Anthony in the backyard. They're telling Nicole that we're a vote short. We've got to get Ian. We have to get Ian, and Nicole thinks they might still be able to get some of the others, and they say, no, Nicole, the others are locked in. You aren't going to get them. It comes down to either Ian or Davon. Davon has already said that for no reason other than for moral reasons, she's going to vote to keep David, and that's made Janelle and Kaiser a little bit mad. Kaiser says, I don't want to play with someone who is acting for emotional reasons and not for gameplay reasons. So they're not real happy, but they also say, you're not getting her. Yeah, Nicole just can't get her. It all comes down to Ian. And so they're going to push on Ian. Nicole is worried that if they push too hard, people are going to resist. They may say, well, how come you're working so hard for Nicole Anthony? They may be tighter than we think, and crater her campaign anyway. They come back and say, hey, it's the only choice we got at this point. We have to take the chance. Nicole eventually gets upset, says, I'm just expendable to everybody, walks off, gets in bed, is very upset in beds afterwards. And I think to some degree, Kaiser and Janelle were pretty much laying it out to Nicole, saying, this is what you have to do, this is what we have to do, and maybe a little bit dismissive of some of Nicole's concerns and such, but I do think they've got the right idea of what they're trying to do, but it was difficult. Nicole is saying that there's a high possibility she could go home, and so it's affecting her. So we have that. All right, now so for the final conversation, and maybe I saved the best for last because this is interesting. Kaiser and Ian, they grab Ian in the backyard, say, hey, before you go to bed, come talk to us for a second. This is just Kaiser, not Janelle, just Kaiser. And he's really pushing Ian to vote out David. And Kaiser, that guy's a great player, a great sales guy. I really admire him. He's telling Ian that the outcasts are going to get picked off if the other side gets strong. If we don't save Nicole Anthony right now, if David stays, he's with that other group, that group is just going to start picking us off one by one, and we don't want to have that kind of season. I didn't come here to play that kind of season. I just don't want to do it. Ian won't commit, but he's considering it. And he just keeps saying, I want to work the numbers. I want to work the math. Let's talk again tomorrow over the next day or so. I'll consider it. And he's got legitimate questions about things like, hey, if I work with y'all, I'm with Nicole Franzel, as she and Janelle, as much as they dislike each other, and Kaiser saying, we'll work it out. It's so we can make that work. He's not convinced, but Ian does say that he thinks the house is too quiet. He wants to shake up the house, and Kaiser's saying, me too. This is boring. Let's snooze fest. Let's shake it up. And so they seem on board with that. Kaiser is really digging, poking Ian a little bit with some references to alliances that Ian's not a part of. He says, hey, if you don't do it, if you vote to keep David, maybe they'll bring you in as part of that alliance somewhere down the road. You'll be just an accessory. You'll be at the bottom of the totem pole, but hey, you may be part of the group. So he's doing a good job of helping Ian or trying to point out to Ian that he's just a number that's not going to last forever if he stays with the other group. Again, Ian hadn't committed, but at least he's considering it. Janelle and Kaiser feel like if they can get Ian, that represents the tie vote, and Memphis will vote to keep Nicole Anthony. I'm going to have to be watching a little bit more to see if that's truly the case, but maybe we'll see. So at the end of the evening, I have a little more hope that Nicole Anthony may be staying, but if not, David's staying, and Team David as well. So guys, y'all have a great evening. SKD 143. We will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye. Cheers.